Welcome back, peeps, to Perfect.dev, where we give you cats the freshest dose of dev snacks. Now with your amazing hosts, Alex Patterson and Brittany Postma. This episode is sponsored by Builder.io. Visually build on your tech stack. Welcome back, perfect peeps. Today we're talking about empowering your content with Prismic, and we have Alex Trost, who is a developer advocate with Prismic. What's up, Alex?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm really thrilled to be here. This is a lot of fun.
We've already talked a lot of the kind of Alex thing, so I'm going to try to go by Coding Cat in this episode.
I don't know where your parents heard about the name. I thought my mom made it up. But you know what? We're not going to fight about it here.
I used it too,
Alexander?
So yeah.
True. Yeah. Brittany, I thought you got it from me. Is what I thought it was. Apparently, it's a common thing.
I named my son after you. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
It's really interesting. Well, anyways, welcome Alex Trost to Coding Cat and Perfect Dev. Let's talk a little bit about how you got started kind of down the path that led you to Prismic.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, Prismic is a component-based CMS. It allows you to build websites, particularly on the Jamstack. We make it really easy to integrate with Next.js, with Gatsby, with Nuxt. And I started there just about a year ago now. And the way that I kind of got the job was, some people got into sourdough bread. I started a newsletter for my pandemic thing. And so I started this thing called Front End Horse, and I wrote a newsletter and I write articles and started going on some streams and started doing like my own stream a little bit. And who would be my future manager, Nuha, found me and emailed me and said, "Hey, would you want to be on the developer experience team here at Prismic?" And it's not really a thing that I'd considered before. Like I was a front end developer and I never like thought of jumping into like developer advocate roles. But her description of it and just like the opportunity there was just like, okay, this is actually pretty cool. This could be interesting because like I'm a developer now, but I have an even longer background in teaching. I was a second grade teacher before that. So I still love teaching. I still I started the newsletter to teach and to learn and all that good stuff. But that was like the exciting thing of like, oh wait, I can combine these two things into a career where I'm helping other people, I'm teaching them, and I also get to continue to learn and continue to build things and do kind of what I wanted to do. And so she found me, reached out, and I've been absolutely loving the role ever since. It's been a whole lot of fun. And just recently took over as the team lead. So it's been a new challenge to start the year off with, but it's been a good one.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, I'm a developer advocate too, and we're so new. Like when you say team lead, is that like head of developer advocacy, developer relations?
I don't know, Alex. Okay. I have no idea what my no. So we've got a developer experience team, and it's kind of a diverse group of skills that we have in our team. And I think it's like a strength where we have a community manager, we have a content manager, we have someone who's an expert in Vue. I'm not sure if you've worked with Lucy, either of you, but she's fantastic. You should have her on or work with her in some capacity. We have someone who's an expert in Gatsby, and then Next.js with Nick DeJesus. And I am now just trying to help get stuff out of their way is kind of my understanding. Is that
I did not realize that Nick was on your team. That is awesome.
So just trying to make sure that I'm actually doing a stream with him tomorrow. For people watching this, you missed it. I apologize.
Yeah.
You'll have to watch the YouTube archives, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah. We will have a recording somewhere.
Nice.
But yeah, so just kind of making sure that they have all that they need and I can just get stuff out of their way. So it's about a 6-person team. So we're not rolling too deep yet, but yeah, did that answer your question? Is that kind of what?
Absolutely.
I'm still trying to figure out the role myself and just like what
Aren't we all?
exactly I do.
Yeah, it changes day by day, right?
Yeah, I think it's a different thing at every different company, but it sounds like it was the perfect mesh for you. So why Prismic though? Why did you choose Prismic of like once you saw that developer advocate role, what drew you to Prismic?
Yeah, so I mean, besides the fact that they're the only ones to have written to me, but regardless, so the truth is, and I think as a developer advocate, once you start lying, once you start to like shill for the company in a way that undermines your own credibility, that's all you've got. You only have your credibility if you start coming out here saying, "Hey, Nalgene makes the best water bottles. They're perfect. They're great for everyone. That they have no flaw." Right? Like once you start doing that, people go, "I don't trust this guy. I don't know if I'm ever gonna listen to a thing he says." So full disclosure, I used Prismic before I got the job. I had made personal projects with Prismic. That's fun to say. I also have done a bunch of agency sites using Prismic, and I've used other CMSs, and I enjoyed those too. Like there are some CMSs that I used and did not enjoy. I'm not going to name any of those, right? But I actually was using Prismic before they reached out, and so like yeah. I already liked them, already had used them, but like it's funny because I thought I was using Prismic to like the fullest extent, or at least like close to it. And then you like come on board. I'm still learning stuff about it a year later where I'm like, we can do that. And they're like, yeah, we can do that. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know. Just who am I?
So it was kind of a mutual love.
Yeah, it was kind of a mutual love, and yeah, I think one thing I've always appreciated about it is just how easy the editor is to work with for editors. Like I think the team did a great job of just scaling it back to the absolute like minimum that is needed, so that when you send a site to a client saying, "Hey, here's your website. Here's how you go in and create pages and create blog posts and do all the stuff that you need to do," they don't go, "Oh my God, what are all these buttons? What are all these links?" So like sometimes WordPress can feel that way. I said I wasn't going to talk trash on any CMS, but like a WordPress site can feel that way when you get into the dashboard. It's super powerful, but it can also be super overwhelming to some people when they first hit it, right? So I think that was one thing I liked before I joined.
I think this is a really good segue to talk about how Prismic is so different, because I think it is. It's very unique in its kind of CMS flavor. So if you're used to WordPress, how do you compare Prismic to that version of a CMS? Is it a standalone SaaS? What does it look like?
Yeah, so it is a software as a service. One thing, actually, another thing I liked about Prism beforehand, and actually made me choose it more often than not, was we have a very generous pricing structure for like the free tier. So like I'm sure you're familiar if you've ever built on Vercel or Netlify or any of these kinds of sites where like you can deploy most sites right now for free, like kind of entirely for free, right? And it's just we're just in this like golden age of web development where you don't need to pay $5 a month for every tiny little project you spin up. You can just like, hey, I just launched a website. I'm not paying anything unless I bought a domain. Like that's awesome. So for the most part, Prismic has a free tier that you only start to cross once you like start bringing more people on, and at that point it's just $5 and then like $10 if you want to have like 10 users. So don't quote me on that. That's off memory. But it's just a generous free tier where some other packages can jump up to like, once you go past the free tier, it's like a $300 bill, and it's just a bit steep. But to go back to your comparison to WordPress, I think the biggest thing is, it's a headless CMS where thank you. Yeah. So started with 3 users, small, $15 a month. I apologize. But compared to WordPress, Prismic is a headless CMS. So we don't like ship a front end for you, right? That's completely up to you. If you think your client, and I come from the agency world, so apologies for the client talk, but if you think your site, whoever you're building it for, is best as a Vue app, awesome. Ship a Vue app on that front end. If you think it's the best as a Next.js app or as a SvelteKit app, cool. That's what you can ship. We are handling the rest in terms of content. But compared to WordPress, we handle the hosting entirely. You don't have to worry about maintaining anything really, right? Like we're just taking care of that. So that aspect is nice for me as a front end web developer. Like I don't want to do WordPress updates. I apologize for taking so many shots at WordPress. I think WordPress is just great, but like it's just, you know, those kinds of things. I don't want to do updates. I don't want to, you know, worry about my server and do any of that stuff. I'm happy with someone else maintaining all that. If that's not what you need for your use case, Prismic might not be a good choice for you. But if you're okay with that, then Prismic's something you should look into.
So it sounds like to me like you need a level of a developer, let's say, to get started at least before you hand it off to a client. So
yeah, Prismic is yeah. I'm so sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No, not a problem. I was just gonna say, to integrate the headless CMS portion, you're gonna need something set up in Next.js, and we'll kind of walk through that towards the end here. But there's a connection there that has to be made. It's not like WordPress where it's all on one site and you're dragging and dropping with their new Gutenberg blocks and things like that. So it's kind of taking that headless piece into it. But correct me if I'm wrong. Let's talk about this slice machine a little bit though. Like that's probably the big uniqueness in Prismic, right?
Yeah. So to, you know, to get there, I think first we should just touch on how so like the big thing, if you were to ask Prismic users like what they love about Prismic, I think the editor that I touched on is something that I hear a lot, the simplicity of that. And then slices, this innovation that Prismic basically saw that lots of websites are built using big sections. So like if we were to go to a website right now, we would probably see that there's a big hero section at the top, right? Like we typically call that a hero. Below that, there might be like a features section where it like lays out like, you know, these are some of the important features. And there might be like a logo cloud underneath that, where it's like, here's the companies that love us. Below that, maybe like a testimonial section, right? So web pages are typically these days built in these like big full width components. And we just call those slices so that everyone kind of has a common language to talk about and to build around, right? So your designers know that they got to ship you a pricing slice, right? And the developer knows to integrate that, and then the editor can say, "Oh, I would love a pricing slice right here."
Gotcha.
And then the great thing is like that's just a React component, or that's just a Vue component, and then you can push that code to GitHub, and then when your editors go in and click, okay, what slice do I want? I want a pricing slice. They get to fill in the data that they're choosing, and the site rebuilds, and boom, there's that pricing slice right where they want it. If they think they want it up a little higher, above a couple other components or below some other components, they can move it around. And so really what you're doing with slices is you're saying, hey, there's a lot of common parts of a website that we can build for our editors, and just hand them this like toolkit of things that they can then use to make infinite pages, right? So like, oh no, we've got a marketing site we've got to ship for tomorrow. We don't have time to pull the developer in and have them like code up a new site. It's cool because we can just grab this slice, throw it together. I'm going to use a pricing one here, and right, boom, 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 publish, and that page is live. Developer didn't need to get roped in because they already built the pieces of the site.
It seems to be componentizing your data.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
That's
It's bringing that like everything's components. That's the component based CMS approach that we're doing. That's exactly right, Brittany.
Yeah, that's awesome. So who would the target audience be then if we've got to have a developer, but you said that the marketers could do that. So who is Prismic's target audience?
Yeah, so I think Alex kind of touched on it, where a developer does need to be involved in order to build out a Prismic site. We're not like a Squarespace kind of approach where like you can get started, and if you have no coding experience, you can still build out a site. It's easy for the editors once the developer has kind of set them up, but like we are trying to empower developers to build websites for either for themselves, but like also for maybe a marketing team, a company that's trying to sell something, and they want to build out pages in easy to use way, but still get the benefits that something like Next.js will deliver, because the developer kind of knows best. And as a developer, I wouldn't want my clients battling against like a Wix or something like that, where like I don't really know what the front end is. I can't really get into the internals. I don't know how to like change things around easily. You know, I know my client's needs, and I'm going to say, oh, you know what? Nuxt is like the perfect framework for this client because of these 3 things. And that's what I'm going to ship them for their front end. And then on the back end, they get that like page builder experience that people really like. People like the experience of a Squarespace where the editors have that control and they can build those pages out. They don't want to be trapped into like a mold of this is what a page looks like always, and you can't change it. They want to be able to do that, like, you know, rearranging and creation that those great page builders allow. But then you get that front end that's just bloated and not refined and not exactly what that client deserves, honestly.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Builder.io, visually building the web. Builder.io has one of the most powerful visual editors in the industry. Unlike other tools, Builder actually produces the code for you. You don't have to completely switch out your framework either, just use one of the handy SDKs that are available. There's no limits to what you can build. Instead of limiting your marketing team, start to optimize and let them do the work. This will allow your web developers to get back to the hard work that it takes for other components, allowing your team to do A/B testing and personalization. Stop worrying about bugs in production. Just use the site as it is, then you can analyze and start converting all of your customers with Builder's built-in heat maps. Stop limiting your growth with developers' long lead times. Start building, optimizing, analyzing, and start growing faster. Don't take my word for it. You can sign up for free today and start building the web visually with Builder.io. Probably not fast, not static driven, those sort of things.
Yeah, like the things that developers can do with the Jamstack is just so powerful. So to not have the best of both worlds, right? So like editors can get that great editing experience, and developers can get that great developer experience, and we'll talk about that with Slice Machine. And kind of like it's an everyone wins situation where it's not just good for the developers and bad for the editors. Right?
It seems like it's really easy too with that componentized data that you can move those around, so the marketers are able to test those things, and they're like, this isn't doing very well here. We can just move that, and the developers don't have to get involved, which is super powerful.
Yeah, and I think one of the most like important things that I think people take for granted, what you just said is spot on. And if you don't have the ability to preview that page, marketers don't like it. Like, and they shouldn't, right? And that's right. Like imagine clicking publish on a thing and going, I hope that looks good. We'll find out in 3 minutes when it builds. That's a terrible way, you know, like it would be like if you as a developer are like, all right, let's type the CSS and enter. And now I need to wait. And now I wait for 3 minutes and see if that CSS looks good. No, that's a, you know, like we went fast,
Imagine,
like module reloading.
Yeah.
They deserve the same. So Prismic has a great preview feature that allows you to make a change, hit preview, and see it on the site just as it would appear. And that's not always easy and not always a guarantee on the Jamstack. So to have that in a you know, in a framework like Gatsby, that's pretty cool. So like that's one of like our absolute like biggest features is just you can still do previews even though your site was statically generated.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, because I think there's a lot of terms kind of
Tons of
around
terms.
what we're talking about. A slice is part of a component model, essentially. And it's not necessarily like a div or a element that's sitting on a page. It's kind of like a grouping of something that you're going to
It's a section.
a section. Yeah.
Typically a section. Yeah. So like if you pop open like a typical website and you see those big chunks, it's typically semantically a section tag that's denoting those sections. I'm going to keep saying section apparently, but
Yeah, or an
slices
article,
of
I
your
guess,
page.
if
We
it
call
was
them
like
blocks. So
it's those blocks. Like if you're doing like a blog post, you could use slices to be like, all right, here's a rich text, and then I want an image slice, and then I want this, right? Like, so you could get creative with it there. There's lots of ways to use slices. Typically, it's good just to think about them as big page level sections where there's like a hero slice, a pricing slice, a feature slice. Those big chunks that you can then build into pages are slices.
cool. So as far as Prismic goes, it's very similar to like Sanity.io and Contentful, like all of those other headless CMSs. Sanity kind of has their own like portable text feature where you basically get JSON. It describes all the text and different things, and you can take that into HTML or something else. What does that kind of look like from a data standpoint coming out of Prismic? Is it still a JSON RESTful API? Is it GraphQL? How are you delivering that?
Yeah, so it's a pretty similar thing where for rich text, you typically and I'm no like specialist in this regard, but my understanding here is that like you don't want to send HTML over the wire like that and just like have a string of like paragraph and all that kind of stuff. So it's similar. I've worked with Sanity a bit, but not recently.
Sure.
But to the point where in Prismic, when you get your rich text back from the API, it's going to have basically a format that tells your functions, or hold on. So it's basically going to say what it is that it's intended to be. So it might be like a heading 1, and then it'll have the span there. You don't have to worry about it too much because we've got some great JavaScript kits where you just pass that field into the Prismic rich text component for React or for Vue or whatever, and that takes care of all the rendering there. Yeah, so like it's a tricky thing like to parse yourself if you want to. Well, it's not too bad, but it's just, it can get complicated, but it's really easy to customize from those components, because if you're like, hey, I don't want my if it comes in as italic, I don't want it to just slap an I or an M on it. I want to pass it a specific class. It's really easy to say, hey, if you see in italic, I want this instead. So you pass like, span, class name, italic, and then you just pass the children in there. Like it's pretty easy to customize on top of that. So we have some fantastic kits that were just updated, and they make it really, really easy to build with rich text, with links, because links are like an interesting problem with a CMS, right? So it's like when you're linking between documents, or if you're linking externally, right? Like you have to figure those kinds of things out. We've got a link component in the React kit, and I think in the Vue kit too, that kind of helps you handle those things and figure out, all right, is this linking to another internal document? If so, is that another page? And where does that go? Or is this external? Like, do we need to use a Gatsby link or a next link? Or is this just an
I was going to
A
say
tag?
that would be very interesting with like routing and how you handle that depending on what framework you're using.
It's tricky, right? It gets kind of complicated because it's not with those kinds of frameworks. It's not just, well, you slap an href on there and you're done. It's like, all right, well, we want to optimize if it's an internal, but you don't want to use like a next link if it's going to google.com, right?
Yeah. Makes sense.
Well, I think we've described Prismic the best that we can.
Verbally, yes.
Verbally.
We need to see some code.
Should I lay the groundwork for Slice Machine a little bit though? Because I promised to double back on that.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
If that makes sense. I don't want to like deter you.
I think it does.
Okay.
I think we'll be good.
If there's any images off the website or something you want me to show, let me know.
We can show. So there's a slicemachine.dev that I think does a pretty decent job of at least being, you know, I think it'll help. But basically, what Slice Machine is, now that we've kind of hopefully nailed down that concept of slices, right? Slice Machine makes it easier for you to build your slices, not on Prismic.io, because that's kind of the classic way to build slices, is that you would go into your editor on Prismic, and you would go to your custom types, and you would create a new custom type. And so a custom type is basically something like a blog post or something like that. So this is where you would typically go. Today we're not going to, but like to create your models and your data structures and your slices all on the website, and then have your code separated from that. Like, just the gap between those things is just it's not as nice as it could be. As a developer, I want version control on those data models. I want to be able to build locally. I want so many things that we have kind of put into Slice Machine. Slice Machine allows us to, in a local development environment, create those slices that we've been talking about, and make it so that the component is created in my code base. And so it's there just with some default React or Java or Vue code. And then it gives me like the code snippets, because I don't know about you, but every time I try to like wire up a CMS to a project, the first like 15-20 minutes is just like, all right, so what's the URL that I need to hit? Okay, am I hitting it? That's not the right one. I'm not getting anything back. I'm getting a 404. I'm getting a 500, whatever. Oh, okay. I'm hitting the right thing, but I'm not getting the right data now. All right, let's figure this out. It's just this like constant, like, just to get the right data. And now it's like, okay, I have the right data, but it's at the top of my project. What's the shape of the object I just got back? And how do I get that button text onto the button? It's like a 20-minute process for like a brand new project. This brings that down to like practically nothing, so that as you create a slice, it's showing you the actual code snippet that you need. And we can get into that, but it's bringing all of that home into your development environment where I'm used to being. I don't want to have to learn like all these different CMS websites and how they kind of do it, and not be able to just do it in my code editor, do it in kind of an intuitive way. So that's kind of what Slice Machine, among other benefits, like that's the biggest thing for me, is that I get to wire up a CMS in like no time flat and create components that my editors can move and remove and create real easily. So if you want to jump into Slice Machine, I'm ready and raring.
Sure. I'm so intrigued by that too.
I have the slicemachine.dev. I noticed there's a Boop Master out here lurking.
On there.
Yeah, so he got a demo from Lucy, who I mentioned earlier.
What's Lucy's last name again?
Haberer, Haberer.
Gotcha.
Lucy, I hope I'm saying that right. She is in Paris along with many of the other Prismic employees. It is originally we are a remote Paris-based company, but but so I think the example that we're going to be working on, the coding example, is a Slice Machine project. So if we want to jump into that.
So Alex, I actually went out and cloned a different repo, and we are all set to go. And now you're saying awesome. I can run Slice Machine.
I mean, yeah, it seems like we can. Yeah, so we're looking good there.
Yay.
I don't know what view's best. We're going to go full screen. So if you do a lot of like screaming or pointing, just let me know and I'll put us back on there.
I typically teach with nothing but hand gestures, so this might be tough.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So now I probably want to show my browser, I would assume.
Yeah. It's be a little bit of back and forth, but it's the nice kind.
I could try to go to 4K, but folks will get angry. So there's some spinning occurring.
Yeah, so the first time you start it up, it's gonna take a second, but you don't have to give your opinion right now. But so a couple of concepts that we should kind of touch on here. Custom types. We didn't really touch on those because they're not really like a Prismic innovation or anything, because as you can kind of see here, we have a home page that's a specific kind of custom type. We have a menu and a page. Custom types are basically like just data structures. So you can have like an author as a custom type. You can have a blog post as a custom type. Like these things that you're going to make either one or more of that kind of need their own type. That's where Prismic just says, hey, whatever you want to build, go for it. Like for the front end horse site, I do a lot of events like you do. And so I have an event type and I have a guest type. So whoever comes on, that's a specific type where they have like a name and a profile picture. And then the event has a date.
Schemas?
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is what custom types are. And then slices can belong to one or more custom types. So like we could put that banner slice both on the home page and on the regular pages. That's kind of up to us to do however we want. And then, yeah, so as you click into the slice, you can see these are the fields that it has. And we've got a title, a description, a link label, and a background. And what you're seeing over on the right there is one of the really cool features of Slice Machine, where before in Prismic, your editor would get to choose these slices to build from, where now we have these screenshots that are actually mocked up versions of your component. So if you click that Open Slice Simulator button there, that is going to, okay, so we need to set this up a little bit, and this is all brand new. We launched Slice Simulator just yesterday, so this is kind of a new fancy thing. But so if you click the create a page for Slice Simulator, that seems to be where we are, just needing to add it. So in your pages directory, create a file called slice-simulator.jsx. So if we do that, sorry to make you jump back and forth to the code.
I think I'm gonna just
throw
drop
this
it
in,
and
you can just tell us you did it. It'll be Scout's honor. Slice-simulator.jsx. And that should just drop it in. That's just to give you a page route.
Already exists.
It already exists.
Yeah, and has all of that in there.
Okay, interesting. Scroll up a little bit.
Is the dev server running in the next?
Thank you. Good point, because
I was just going to do npm run dev, and then
it does need that.
Yeah, you have to run both servers.
Brittany, we're gonna have to bring you on board because your Prismic debugging skills.
If you hire me to do spelt work.
Hang on, I might be running another project.
Sounds good.
Yes. Oh, nope. Getting an error. So, let's see. You can see this? Yes.
Sorry, property of null reading data. Because we haven't shipped any slices, so it's trying to run. So that should be okay. Can you go back and click?
Do you want me to
simulate? Or yeah, if you go back to Slice Machine.
Yep.
Just keep the dev server running if that's the right one. It's still not going to work.
Did you try refreshing the browsers on both pages?
Yeah, I
think the error makes sense.
Could I just do a doc ? Data slices, and then
that'll be fine. Yeah, or it might be. Yeah, but it's going to try to serialize that. So
right. So we need to do or is it null? What I can't remember what.
Yeah, it says please use null or omit this value. So I would use or null.
If I read right.
All good. That's not on you. We've got to make sure that template is
should I put a PR in?
Errors. Go for it. That'd be awesome. So this is our slice. So if you want to, and I know it's tough to go back and forth, so I'll just explain it instead of making you hop back and forth between your code, because I know that the screen sharing is tricky. This is a React component that exists in your project and just has spots where the data can be piped through when your editors fill out that slice. This that we're looking at right here is free mocks that that Slice Machine ships with every single field you create, so that you don't have to go into your CMS and enter dummy data just to build out components in the way that you want. You can immediately start building components with this storybook-like interface where you're building this component in isolation. This is not like a screenshot, like that's actual code there, and it just makes the component development environment so much nicer, so that we can actually go ahead and build out a slice right now if you want to kind of show like how this might work.
So in my head, what I'm thinking is because of that data error, we're not actually getting data from the backend CMS necessarily. It's actually calling, I would assume, in the front end. That's why you're able to preview.
So those right there, we can actually take a look in the code and just see that Slice Machine is creating a mocks.json file for each slice that you create, so that you don't have to worry about because typically the development experience for components like that is, okay, I need to make this hero slice. I'm going to put some dummy text in here to start, right? Like you wouldn't start with like data.title.text. You would start with hero example, and you would put some lorem ipsum in for the paragraph, and then you would eventually swap that out for the data attribute or whatever. But so if you open up your slices folder there, it's in the root directory. Cool. So these are the slices that shipped with this example project. So if you open up banner slice, I believe that was the one that we were looking at. And then you've got this model.json. So this is the actual model of that component. So you can see that we have a title, we have a description, we have a link, we have text. So that is the shape of that slice in terms of the schema, right? In index.js, that's where we are showing the rich text component, where it's going to take in that description. And like I was saying, how like that handles all that complicated stuff for us. We don't need to worry about how to parse the rich text. But this is basically the shape of our React component. And then at the very top, I think there's a .slice machine folder in your root. Yeah, in there. And then assets, slices, and then banner slice. We tuck it away because this is something that you never need to touch, but just so you can see it. And then mocks.json.
You have a stories file in there, so it's integrated with Storybook already?
Yeah. So the slice simulator thing there is just an optional, easier one to get up and running. Because Storybook, we absolutely love it, but it can be kind of temperamental to set up and reliably install. At least that's been my experience. Like,
yes, that is my experience with it as well.
Yeah. So to avoid that kind of like, I can't take snapshots, I can't build in isolation because Storybook is throwing errors because I'm using Tailwind or because I'm using styled components or because whatever, we built out that slice simulator that just is basically a Vue renderer or a React renderer or a Svelte renderer, and just allows you to build that component in isolation. And so here is just the data that is getting passed in. It's nothing too fancy, but I think it's such a nice quality of life improvement where I don't need to go into my CMS and just type FD or whatever just to build out components. I've done that so many times. There's just like, here's a garbage image, here's garbage text. I just need to see what it's going to look like. But this is just like nice mocks that then that little screenshot that we saw, that gets pushed up to Prismic. So your editors aren't guessing at what kind of slice they're choosing. Because I've worked on sites where we start to get deep into like creating components for the client. and they have to go like, all right, this one's called text left prominent image. What's the difference between that one and prominent text left image, or like right image text? It just gets to be messy when you're only using words to describe layout things, right? So it's just like, oh, that's tough. So giving them that screenshot, they go, oh, right, I want that one where the image is there, right? Like trying to describe it with words is just kind of messy. So the snapshots are super helpful so that editors know exactly what they're getting into. It's just a nice experience.
So we kind of took a look at that model.json file. Is that something that you have to code as a developer to expose that back to kind of Prismic
no,
the slice machine?
That's a great question. So model.json is pretty much handled by Slice Machine in that GUI for you.
Okay.
So if we wanted to create a slice on our own, we can go ahead and do that.
Absolutely. Cool. If I share the right screen.
Yeah. So yeah, we want to dip into Slice Machine. The Slice Machine UI. Cool. So here we are. So we can go back to slices and tap that little plus button, and cat slice or coding cat slice. Cool. Yeah. You can drop the slice. That's a bad habit that I have, just calling everything a slice. So now it's got a little spinny up top, and it is building it.
I just saw something move in my folders down here. So
yeah, so cool. it's actually creating files in that slices folder and also building out those mocks and everything. And in just a second, we should have a title and a description field as kind of the defaults for that first slice.
Cool.
Or I guess it's not a first slice at this point. It is a seventh slice or so, because we had a few defaults.
User created slice.
Yeah. Exactly. And so the reason that took a little bit is because it also took a screenshot of what that default is already. So you see the engage seamless models thing on the right. That's just kind of that's the snapshot,
the component that it created.
Yeah.
Are you guys using like Puppeteer for that, or?
I think something like that. So
it's like headless
Lucy, who I've already mentioned a couple times, is actually the one who built this. So I can ask her. But yeah, she did a great job just making it so that it's not the full features of Storybook, but it is what we are using from Storybook. So it's like Storybook's a massive app, and we were just using it for snapshots and for building in isolation. So we kind of just said, like, let's just recreate those two features and put it there.
Yeah, that's really cool. So
is that a canvas from Storybook?
Is that a so what we're looking at there doesn't involve Storybook, but if you were to add Storybook, we're already creating automatic stories for you, so that you don't have to go in and generate stories and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, so this isn't Storybook anymore. But
you've taken from Storybook what you need.
Yeah, we've kind of recreated those elements of it.
Yeah, gotcha.
But cool. Storybook's great, and if you want to build it into your project, it's really easy to use with Slice Machine.
So now at this point, I could be wrong, but it seems like we cloned the repo, we kind of told it some things, but we're actually not connected up to Prismic yet. Is that true?
We are. The only reason why we don't have any data coming down is because we didn't push anything. So if you open up Slice Machine there
it is. I was missing the repo.
Yeah. Sorry, that's a great thing to point out. So in Slice Machine, we've got our models all locally, and so if you hit push slice to Prismic up at the top right, that will take this your model.json and push it up to Prismic and say, hey, I want this to be a slice there. We've still got a couple more things to do still.
Oh, I'm jumping again.
All good. You're excited. I love it.
I'm pumped.
So if we then go into the custom types, we need to now assign it to a page, because a slice isn't really anything unless it has somewhere to go, right? Like it needs that type to go into.
So slice is kind of hanging out in the Prismic database. We just don't have any place to place it yet.
Right. So yeah, like it exists, but there's there's no parent page to go into. It's kind of like having an input without a form field around it, right? Like it needs something to be placed into. So if we add it to the homepage custom type,
so go here, add new field.
I'm not.
Oh, sorry.
So
Delayed.
good. In the slice zone there. So for each custom type, you can determine whether or not it makes sense for that slice to be there. So if you hit the edit slices button at the top right, you can toggle it so that the coding cat slice can now appear in this one. So like you might not always want like a contact form slice to be available on the homepage. Like it just doesn't belong there, right? Like certain things we want to give you that power. So if you push to Prismic up at the top right, that should update that. And we may need to push all of our slices, but we may not. We'll see. We're going to learn together. So you're going to be writing in English. So you can go ahead and hit that. All good.
I was like, why is this pop-up?
All good. So let's see if, so you should be able to create a new, is there, yeah, so you've got a home page. So if you hit, no, so you don't want to hit create new here. If you go to the top left, back to the document one, yeah, yep. Create new at the top right. And then if you choose homepage, just because, you know, we need a homepage. So the snapshots aren't coming in right now. I'm not sure why. But if you choose the coding cat one, we should be able to, if it's there, you might have to scroll horizontally. There you go. Is coding cat not in there?
Don't see it.
Is this the right one? The coding cat Next.js SM tutorial? Is that the right repository?
Yes.
Okay.
I think this, so this synced.
That should be synced.
And then
can you just check the Prismic configuration in your root directory to see if it's coding cat Next.js SM tutorial.
It goes to sm.json. Where is sm.json? Yes, coding cat -Next.js -sm tutorial.
Okay, cool. So in Slice Machine.
So
yeah, check in.
Did we put that on homepage?
I think we definitely put it on homepage.
Let me double check that I didn't
there should be a save button at the bottom here.
There it is.
That's not clear. That's not clear.
Automatically.
That's not on you. Yeah, and it didn't warn you. So there you go. Push to Prismic now. Yeah, so you just updated the model in your file system. So like it changes the file there, now we have to push it to Prismic.
I should have put a coding cat image in there. This is gonna be such a boring thing.
All good. And then yes, so in just a sec, that should push to Prismic and update that custom type to now allow you to build with that slice. So yep, if you go back and we go into the documents, it's just the lines at the top left. Cool. And hit
You're getting user testing on this for free today.
Absolutely, and it's the best kind, the in public and recorded kind.
Yeah.
Okay. So coding cat, there we go.
Hey.
Nice. So then we can add a title and say whatever you want. Awesome. And then real quick, the UID at the top there should be, I think, home. It's really subtle. It's no, a little bit down, right in the middle there. Yep, there you go. That should be like home, I believe. Then we can check our file to see if that's right. It's either home or homepage. I forget what our default is. But now if you hit save at the top right,
okay,
and then you're gonna hit publish, and then you're gonna choose to publish now. So just hit publish. And then so now that data is going to be available for your slice, for your homepage to pull in. So if we go over to our code,
okay,
let's actually see. Oh, there we go. We didn't even need to go to our code.
Woo-hoo!
So like
Nice.
that's kind of what I mean. Where like we never had to like pass that data down to certain slices. We built the slice, and we pushed it to Prismic, we added that content, and now it's just on our homepage. Like, we didn't have to do that wiring up because Slice Machine just kind of takes care of it for you.
It was already connected to the right piece of data. Yeah, that's pretty powerful.
And then you can add more things in and rearrange them, just create more and more pages. So
awesome.
Can you do the whole thing without Slice Machine?
Can you do what?
Without the Slice Machine that you're running locally, can you do all of this, or would you have to manually create all of these JSON files and stuff?
So you can do it, but using kind of like Prismic Classic, so to speak. So it's it's using a similar editor experience where like you're clicking add field, you choose which kind of field you want. So like we didn't get into that, but there's like image fields and there's date fields and all those kinds of classic types that you would expect. There's a geolocation, right? Like we've got all of those.
More like a traditional CMS style where you're adding in your own data to the CMS and then putting those fields into your code.
Are you saying it is like that or is not? Sorry, I'm missing it.
I'm saying, is it more like a traditional CMS where you add your data in the CMS and then you have to connect it in your code separately?
Yeah. So exactly like you would set up the shape of your schema in the CMS on Prismic IO, and then kind of figure out from there. All right, so I'm getting data back. What's the shape of data? Like, how do I get to that button text? I got to go data dot main. Like all those sorts of things. So it's not impossible. We've been doing it for a while, right? Like we know how to get the data from there, but Slice Machine just makes it so that like it's just there. And there's lots of just nice features like code snippets, like in that editor there where that screenshot was on the right. If you hit like show code snippets, so if you check out Slice Machine there, go to a slice, any slice. So slices on here we go. So show code widgets right in the middle there. Right there. Yep. So rich text render, slice primary .title .description. So like as you're building things out, this makes it so that you don't have to kind of guess what the shape of that is. We're showing you, hey, it's slice.primary.description. And here's the rich text component that you're going to be passing it to. Like, that's just really nice so that you don't have to guess what's the shape, what's this thing called, what did I name it? Right? Like, it's just there. And so you can copy and paste that into your code.
Just one more question. I think I think
I'm here all day.
It'll all click in my head finally. So if I come out here, I'm going to remove us again. I have my slice I picked, but if I were to do this, is there any way to say, well, I don't really want to use slices and I just want to put divs and HTML? Is that a possibility, or you always need a slice first?
So if you go to Slice Machine, and you go to your custom types, let's just use homepage as the example because that's what we're working on. So up at the top right, there's add a new field. So right now, all we have is the UID, which basically is like the URL. So we can add like a title here because, hey, like every page kind of needs a title. I'm going to add an H1 to everything. So you can pretty much do any kind of thing. We can just use a key text. That works fine. It was at the bottom. A key text just always comes back as a regular string, so it's nice and easy. So you're gonna say title. And then if you hit add, this will then, and then save to file system, and then the push again. That might take a second, but that's basically gonna add that like guaranteed field there, and it's just gonna have it there once, and it's just gonna be on every single, there's only one homepage, but that field will be there. So, I mean, in terms of like creating a div and just having HTML, you can absolutely do that with setting up the exact structure of a page. So like, for instance, take my events pages for the front end horse events. I'm always going to have a guest, and I'm always going to have a description, and I'm always going to have a YouTube link. And so like those are things that are kind of locked in. I don't use slices too much on those pages because they share such a common structure with each other that it's a lot of just like setting up a rich text field for this bit, an image for this, a link for this, And those pages kind of get built out the same way. I don't use slices there because it's just not like the best use case. But then if I want to build a page, to talk about a new event I've got coming up, I might use slices there because of the flexibility, because maybe I want to, have an image here and then move it up, and just whenever you need lots of sections and lots of flexibility there, that's when I reach for slices. But you don't have to use Prismic. I use Prismic for lots of stuff without it.
We could almost consider those fields as like true data fields, or if you're like a markdown crazy person, you can use that as your front matter, whereas the rest is the markdown piece, right?
Exactly. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll make sense.
And if you're using slices without Slice Machine, which you can, like that's like the classic way, you like data wise, you're getting an array of objects, and the object just says like slice type. And you can just, like if slice type is equal to hero, show this component. If slice type is equal to pricing, show this component. And it's just an array. And as your editors say, oh, I actually want this one above that one, guess what happens in the array, right? Like it's just so like the concept
massages the data.
Exactly. So that's really what's happening at the end of the day.
Cool. No, I think that summarizes pretty well. I did want to show off really quickly before we do perfect picks. This is that page that he keeps talking about, front end horse.
So many great animations. Hover over the hero text.
Watch this. I gotta refresh it. This drops in. I thought it was bacon at first.
It kind of looks like bacon. I don't blame you. Yeah.
See that little great animations all over the place. So definitely check it out. This is Alex's site, front end horse, that he was talking about, and it's got all kinds of cool newsletters. And I won't click the Discord and articles and stuff like that.
Got a fun Discord. It's a good time, and we do Twitch shows. We have lots of great people on. We have a lot of fun. Try to focus primarily on creative coding, because that's just the stuff that I've always really enjoyed, just digging into code pens and learning about good stuff there.
Yeah, I love all the front end goodness. So
it's a really fun time.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right, not to put you on the spot, but we're gonna dive into perfect picks next.
I'm excited.
And Alex, yours is first.
All right. Yeah. So this is one of these things that I just absolutely adore. It's a video game, and it is one of those like experiences that you just kind of have to sit with. Yeah, don't go watch a let's play. Don't go because there are just moments in this game that you kind of need to experience for yourself.
Nice.
To sum it up briefly, it is a mystery game where you are kind of stuck in a solar system that's on an endless time loop, and need to kind of find out why it's on this time loop and kind of how to save this little solar system. And in most games, that would involve you saying, like, if you want to go from planet A to planet B, you go in a menu and you choose like travel to planet B, and then like a loading screen happens, and then you're on planet B. You get into your spaceship, and you like have to control the spaceship to like blast off. And it's a very tiny solar system, and you like maneuver out in space. It is just like this freeing explorative game. Wow. A gorgeous soundtrack. It is just it's such a work of art. I can't recommend it enough. It is absolutely an experience. It's one of those things where I wish I could forget it so that I could play it again, because half of it is just the discovery and figuring things out and learning about how this solar system works. It is such a great game. Can't recommend that highly enough.
I'll have to install it on our new Xbox Series X.
Yeah, it's on there.
You just had the one pick, so that was a really good pick, by the way. But I'm gonna check that one out. Brittany, you're up next.
Yeah, my next one is the YouTube channel for Front End Horse's Twitch show. So I just discovered that you had all of these on YouTube the other day.
Oh, nice.
I've been going through watching some of them. So if you want to see the backlog of any of the Front End Horse Twitch shows, they're all on there. Really, awesome. Really amazing guest.
My dates for this pod are messed up, but you could also go watch Adam Argyle on our show.
We had
that'll be in the past, even though it's not out yet. so confusing when we record pods.
He's fantastic.
He is amazing. Wow.
We have Yuna coming on as well in the future. So
oh, that's awesome.
Excited.
That's awesome.
Very
and
cool.
Amelia Wattenberger's on there. She's going to do a Svelte Sirens talk for us. Like, there's so many great people that you've had. James Quick is on there. I keep seeing people. Selma from Netlify. Oh my goodness.
I
could go on and on.
I just saw someone's head sideways. This must have been on purpose.
That is on purpose. Yeah, that's his style for first thing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Your second pick.
Yeah, my second pick. I guess we're having a game day today because I've been playing this free to play game. I was amazed that it was free. It's called Bless Unleashed, and it's an MMORPG, massive multiplayer online role playing game. I had to very slowly think that went through. And I don't know. I love these open world games where you have like quests to go out and do. And I was a big WoW player back in the day, but I don't have time for it anymore. But I wish I had more time to play this one because it's been really good and free, which is the best. So
that's cool. What's happening in this picture? I'm trying to figure out. There's a dragon involved and a person swinging a sword.
There's a dragon and it looks like maybe a warrior or something. I really don't know.
It's just it's like where the body of the dragon's confusing me, but I'm sorry. I'm just trying to figure out like why would they choose that still of all of them?
Like a wing and
a wing, but then where's like the head? What's going on there?
Almost like
I think the sword is like in front of the head. Like maybe he's killing the dragon, but I haven't gotten that far in the storyline and I'm playing a mage class. So none of this makes sense to me.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Very interesting choices. But that's cool. It looks very good.
My first pick, I think Scott's putting this out, or at least it's on Level Up Tutorials. jQuery, not to be confused with GraphQL, which I keep doing for some reason.
Or jQuery. I thought it was I thought it was a new jQuery is what I assumed.
At the top it says not like jQuery, a different kind of GraphQL client. So it's a lot to take in. jQuery though. That's what it's
and
all
it's
about.
For SvelteKit. It's a way to integrate with SvelteKit. So are you playing with SvelteKit? Is that what this means?
I'll never admit it on air. I feel like every day I have to talk to Brittany about Svelte or SvelteKit, so I thought it was time to play around a little bit.
Nice.
So I guess I did admit it. My second pick is...
But you can edit this, so that's the thing.
That's true. Right? That's true. My second pick is from this.labs. It's actually a really good video as well. So there's just a little write-up on here about Prismic and Storyblock, but not Storybook, Storyblock. We've had this issue in the past too. But if you click on the first link here, it'll take you in.
Also, it's Prismic, not Prisma. There's just so many things like that.
Clicking the wrong thing as always. But there's this whole talk that they go through, and it was really incredible. I listened to it to catch up for this pod, and it's a good listen.
Yeah, and that's Lucy.
That's Lucy, the famous Lucy we keep talking about.
Yeah, who made the Slice simulator and everything. So
there's the last name.
Yeah,
we got it at LI_HBR.
Yep.
Cool. Well, Alex, thanks so much for joining us, talking about Prismic, another CMS, but totally in a different way with this slice machine and slices and everything else going on. I really love it.
This is a blast, honestly. Thank you so much for having me on. Y'all are just a lot of fun to hang out with. So
are you. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.